mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
The war marches relentlessly on. Oh, there's been fights won and lost, but inch by inch, day by day, the battle is being joined. Occasionally, the foe fights back or goes undetected. Sometimes they just get away. But with a surge of personnel and all the new technology at their disposal, those in command are confident of victory. Their record is good. They have all the resources that the state can provide. They have the advantage of surprise and a highly motivated task force, and before long they'll have their goal of fining every single motorist in the land for tiny infringements of arbitrary rules seemingly concocted to entrap us. So far, a third of us have been hit. A third! 1 in 3 cars on the road has now been had by a speed camera. Well, not 1 in every 3, obviously, just 1 in every 3 licensed cars. The rest, those driven by the real criminals who don't pay road tax or congestion charges, or have insurance or contribute in any way like the rest of us, they get away scot-free. It's just us mug punters trying to do the right thing that get clobbered. I'd like to take all the speeding tickets in the land and give them to British Airways so they could lose them. Apparently they're the best airline in Europe for losing its passengers' bags, the Association of European Airlines says in its quarterly bulletin, which it will now only issue every 6 months, as they dislike that it attracts too much attention to the failings of the airlines. Well, excuse us for wanting our bags to arrive where we do. It'd be nice to know who would be best to fly with if we didn't want some stranger rooting through our panties at the other end of the world. At least when that happens, there is some form of compensation. What could be more welcome than the generosity shown by British Airways to the hundreds of thousands of people whose luggage it lost in the first 3 months of the year? They've been offered vouchers to fly with British Airways. Can you imagine how upsetting that must be? 0845 6060 973. I didn't do something today. Here's Waterloo. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Mr. Abbot.
Rob.
I'm in London tonight.
Ah, yes.
I am. I'm on television as well.
I read something about you today.
What? How?
Aren't you on... You're on television.
You look at the forums.
No, somebody told me that, So what is it?
It's your rival, the 5 Live. I'm going down tonight as a member of the public. They invited 10 of us. I'm representing the youth.
Why? In what sense?
It's election night, but we can't talk about that till 10, can we?
No. Did the polls close at 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock?
Yeah. Have you voted?
No.
No, won't get into that.
I thought about it, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
You can't really do it now. Do you not have, like, a little ballot box in the studio?
If I could press my red button, I probably still wouldn't do it. Anyway, how come you got chosen to be on television?
Well, it's not really television. It's just they kind of press the red button and you'll also see it. Right. Kind of thing. But I just put my name down and they called me up. They kind of liked what I said and said, come on down. Well, I'm just plugging myself now.
So this is what you won?
It's not really winning, but they put me up in a nice hotel. And, paying for my travel.
Oh, a nice hotel?
Yes.
4 stars? 5 stars?
Yeah, something like that. Opposite the Imperial War Museum.
Oh, that's not a nice area of town at all. It's horrible over there. The Imperial War Museum.
Lambeth, what is it? Lambeth Way or something.
They put you up in Lambeth? I'd get on the bus straight back to Cardiff or wherever it is you come from.
Anyway, the taxi's picking me up now, literally, I'm going to be late.
See, can you believe this? He's getting put up in a 5-star hotel in a luxurious end of town. They're paying for his cabs. I bet they paid for you to come all the way here from Wales. All of this. This is where our tax-paying money goes.
And tonight I'll meet all the stars.
Like? Richard
Bacon. And John Pienaar.
Pienaar? There's a man called Pienaar. Oh, well.
You know, he's a lovely man. Yeah. And I think David Dimbleby's around.
Ah, right, one of the Dimblebys.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta run.
Okay.
See you later.
You can introduce yourself. Hey, you're one of the Dimblebys. I've got no idea which. No one can tell. Did you vote?
Who, me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. You talking to me?
No, I didn't.
So aggressive. Hey, you like me? I haven't spilled your pint, and I'm not looking at your bird. You didn't? You're a politics graduate. Don't you have an A-level in politics? Something like that? O-level? GCSE?
A-level and degree.
And degree. Ooh, get you with your grown-up degree. Still didn't vote. What a shocker. Finchley, hello, Alan.
Hello.
Alan.
Yes, I want to have a beef about the airports. I came from...
Beef
abroad.
away, baby.
Yeah, and I was on Terminal 5. Fortunately, mine was one of the bags that was lost. But what I want to say is that a huge proportion of my ticket was airport tax. Okay?
Right.
Now, that airport tax suddenly rose after the alleged terrorist incidents. Okay? So I don't mind paying this huge amount of airport tax. But what difference am I seeing there? In fact, the queues are longer. You have 3 or 4 staff having to manage hundreds and hundreds of people through security, usually very good but hard-working East Europeans, right? So where is all this airport tax money going? And you know, I recently booked a ticket to Chicago. 48% of the cost of my ticket was airport tax.
What?
Yeah, 48%. You look at various flights, it depends which, you know, it's just ridiculous, the amount of airport tax we pay. But what are we getting for that airport tax? Are we getting better service, better run-through? And the Terminal 5 baggage, is it the airline's responsibility or is it BAA? Are we actually blaming the wrong people for all the problems at Terminal 5? Yes, BAA, their flagship terminal, but baggage handling and everything, is that supposed to be British Airways or BAA?
I don't think either of them can put their hands in the air and say, nothing to do with us, Governor. It's both of their faults.
Yeah, well, I'm just annoyed about, you know, I don't mind paying for good service.
Yeah, quite.
Right, but
it's when you pay for it and then you don't get it, yeah.
And when you've gone to Heathrow, I mean, look at the security should be smooth, okay? And I don't mind waiting, but the amount of queues, and you've got about 10 or 12 these X-ray. You walk through these X-ray units or something.
Yeah.
And you find that only 2 or 3 of them are manned, and the others are empty. And you got.
It's not. Yeah, you're quite right. It's not as though they don't know we're coming. It's not as though they wake up in the morning and rub the sleep from their eyes and think, "Oh gosh, where are all these people come from?" So they know we're going to be there.
Yeah, and if they want this increased airport tax, justify it. Show more people working on. Make it easier for us to come in and out of the airport.
Right, now, Alan, I know you're angry, but Terminal 5 is quite nice, right?
Well, it is. It is a splendid.
A little note of positivity.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's just the usual Britishness about anything like the O2 building and everything else. There's always a bad sort of a service, bad project management and whatever you can blame it on. But you know, I just want to know who the real culprit in all this is.
Dave.
British Airports Authority or
It's a bloke called Dave.
Okay. Anyway, nice show. I just want to get that off my chest.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye.
I booked through BA to go through Terminal 5.
Oh, no.
I actually cancelled flights on another airline to go out of a different airport to get those flights. How stupid does that make me? It's a good job I didn't vote today. They wouldn't want the votes for someone this thick to affect the outcome. I just couldn't make myself do it. For a start, it was raining. I thought, like that. Apart from anything, I didn't vote for 3 reasons. 3 reasons. First of all, the day just gets away from me. I wake up, you have breakfast, followed by my happy morning sit-down. And then I'll have a little nap, and then second breakfast. And by that time, it's 2 o'clock. Read through the papers, come here, and that's the day over with. You've got no idea what it's like to work a full 2.5-hour day. It's totally exhausting. So that was the first reason I didn't, because, I haven't got any time. The second reason was it was raining. And the third, I racked my brains. I went through all of the arguments that I've heard over the last, 53 years of continual electioneering. And I thought, I can't, in all honesty, positively endorse any of these people. So I didn't. I think for the first time ever, I didn't, I think I've missed voting before just because I missed it, accidentally. For the first time ever, I made a conscious decision that my vote this time is not to vote. That's my vote. It's like my version of a dirty protest. Which, by the way, looks like somebody has been carrying on in here. Like Drive said, it's disgusting in here. By the way, don't touch the keyboard in there, Rose. You read about that, right? 7:45. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Firstly, an update on all...
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Now, I bow to no one in my admiration of Simon Calder's Travel Clinic. The show is great, and he personally is super fantastic. However, do yourself a favour and don't travel on Greyhound in America. It's awful. Shuffling along on your bottom would be more comfortable. Seriously, having done it, I thought I had to say something. Don't travel on Greyhound unless it's the only option left to you, unless you have no money and you don't fancy hitching. Only then. We have a How Low auction running at the moment. It's for a MacBook Air laptop. That's one of these things that's so thin you can actually shave with it. It's one of these. It's probably the most famous laptop in the world right now. It's the super thin thing that Steve Jobs pulled out of a manila envelope. You remember that? It's not only the world's thinnest laptop, it's also packed full of great stuff. It's got a wide screen, touchpad. It's got a full-size keyboard. The whole lot. You know the look of it. Now this is an auction that runs until 5:30 tomorrow evening. To bid now, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid of £1.60, for instance, you would text LBC 160 to 88821. It's the person with the lowest unique bid wins. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close 5:30 p.m. Friday. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Here's a call in Marylebone. Hello, Nigel.
Hi, yeah, we're talking about Terminal 5. I had to fly back from Milan Malpensa on EasyJet Terminal 2 there.
Yeah.
And it makes Terminal 5 look like heaven.
Terminal 2?
Well, there's two terminals at Malpensa in Milan.
Oh, you mean Milan's airport?
Milan Terminal 2.
Oh, right, not Heathrow Terminal 2.
No, Heathrow Terminal 2 is awful as well.
Yeah.
It's awful. But nothing compares to the ones in Milan. I mean, the snack bar, when you go through customs, there's one place you can have a snack, and I think it was built in 1953. The liner hasn't been replaced since. It is a comedy. They could.
Is this? Are we in Milan or in Heathrow?
In Milan. No, Heathrow is at least 6 months newer everywhere.
Okay.
It is remarkable, and friends of mine, they flew back from skiing with their children last year from Milan there, and there had been fog, so they were on Alitalia, and they were leaving on the Saturday, and they said, sorry, there's fog, and you've missed your plane. The next flight we can put you on is Tuesday. They were told, and they were flights leaving. They said, we won't put you on a flight till Tuesday. That was Alitalia.
Nice.
So I mean, they have vowed they will never go back skiing in Italy if it means going through that airport.
Well, don't discount Italy just because of one misfortune at Milan Airport. Well, at least they were stuck in Milan and not near Hounslow.
But there weren't any hotel rooms. You couldn't get a hotel room either.
In Milan?
No, yeah, it's a very busy city.
What absolute rubbish. You couldn't find a hotel room in Milan. Oh, no, there we strayed from reality there, Nigel. But thanks for the report. All right. 0845 6060 973. Milan is a great city for a weekend. There's the Duomo, that giant cathedral in the middle, which could be the most fantastic church I've ever seen from the outside. Inside, it's not that great. Outside, it's absolutely unbelievable. You can walk all the way up to the top and walk on the actual roof in amongst the spires, which are many and various, and the statuary, and that's just brilliant. Apart from that, Milan has, let's think, nothing. By which I mean at all. They got shops, but we got shops too. They got all the same shops that we got. Their prices are exactly the same as ours. Stratospheric. You can't afford Giorgio Armani Black Label in London. You can't afford it in Milan. It's the same. Only Russian people may enter here. It actually says that on the door. You must be called Oleg or end in ski. I can't think of anything else that's good about Milan. Nope. Not a thing.
If your name ends in ski,
Yeah.
isn't that Polish?
Is it?
I think so.
Can you check?
Yeah, watch. A flurry of activity.
Yeah, as usual, yeah. He says, putting his feet up and sparking up a cigar. Sheffield. Hello, Jessica.
Hey, Nick.
Jessica.
Actually, I got mugged in Milan.
Did you?
Yeah. But I was so tired. I'd travelled all the way up from Rome, and I was so tired I couldn't even be bothered, really. I hadn't got much money on me at that point, and, I just let it go, really.
So what happened? Where were you in Milan when it happened?
Well, have you ever been to Milan?
Yeah.
Rail station.
Do you listen to this show? I've just been waxing lyrical about all the sights and scenes to be seen and enjoyed in Milan, of which there are, let's count them.
That's
one.
Sort of a posh way. If you're doing it in a kind of common way, you find yourself sleeping at Milan rail station.
I'm sorry, hang on. You went to Milan, and your accommodation was the train station?
The train station.
Right.
Yeah, in the hope of getting back to Paris, and then sort of maybe England. And we did get mugged at Milan for our money.
In the railway station?
Yeah.
Right, where you were sleeping?
Yeah, we were half asleep when we got mugged, and we just let them kind of do it, really. I mean, that was sort of 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
It wasn't now.
And what did they get?
Yeah, now I'd say, oh, come on, do me a favour.
Yeah, what did they take?
Everything.
But presumably if you were sleeping in the railway station, you didn't have much to nick.
Exactly, and actually, I mean, I'm not endorsing this, but you can get kind of back from Milan to England without any money.
How?
If you know how. It's lots to do with kind of like hiding in the toilets.
I thought you were a woman of means.
Well, no, this is a few years ago.
Right, okay.
Anyway, I was going to have a go at you about the Greyhound thing.
The what?
The Greyhound coaches.
The Greyhound...
Coaches.
Oh, the Greyhound coaches, yes.
Also, in my youth, I did kind of Camp America.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It is brilliant. Everyone should do Camp America. If you have the chance, go and do Camp America. Not do America Camply. That's different.
I did it when I was 19, and I got lucky. I ended up in kind of upstate New York.
Me too. Oh, no, wait a minute. Not up to... Schenectady, I bet.
What was... I really... It was somewhere near Long Island, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
Right. Could you pull in Whoopee Radio? That's W-U-P-E, Whoopee Radio. They actually have one of those.
I can't remember.
Can't remember that one,
that
right.
we had to...
They're probably still playing Journey. Wow!
Yeah, you have to pledge... Yeah, you have to pledge the oath every morning.
You do what?
Pledge the oath to America.
You do what?
You sort of go, America's great and everything every morning. With the kids.
Is that what you say? America's great and everything. It's all right, you know, it ain't bad.
And then you kind of, take...
We salute the flag or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was brilliant. I mean, our place, it was full of kids that were quite rich.
Yeah, mine too. I was in a place called Pittsfield.
Where was that?
Pittsfield, in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
And I was in the... I'll steal a joke from Third Rock from the Sun. It was a fat kids camp called Knock-a-Lock. Oh, I can't. Oh no, I screwed it up. Oh, it would have been better if you seen it on the telly anyway.
Well, I mean, my camp, they've got loads of rich kids. You kind of were lovely to them, and then their parents loved you, and then they invited you to their mansions, and you travel with sort of 6 weeks with Camp America. They allow you to travel for 6 weeks on a visa. And we just went to brilliant places.
Yeah, I got kicked out.
We did fantastically without having to spend a penny. It was, it was mostly kind of funded by Greyhound coaches, but...
But isn't that a hideous way to travel, on Greyhound?
It is.
Yes. Well, see, that was my point.
Yeah, I once travelled through Texas on a Greyhound.
Oh, I couldn't imagine anything worse. Texas, it's flat and featureless for as far as the eye can see. And you go to sleep and you wake up 8 hours later and it's exactly the same out the window. It is awful.
It's a controversial thing to say, but when you come through sort of like Texas, you do think incest is wrong. You come out thinking that.
Yeah. Every time you turn on the radio, they're playing that song that goes dang-a-lang-lang-lang.
Yeah. But it's a good thing to go on the Greyhounds. I mean, I think...
It isn't. I'll stop you right there, Jessica. It's an awful thing to go on the Greyhounds because you're stuck on a Greyhound bus. Yeah. And you have no control over where you stop or how often you stop, and you stop a lot. And you always stop in the same crappy, greasy spoon place, and you have to get off, and they've got the same rubbish on the menu, which you don't have time to eat because they're only stopping there for a comfort break, or whatever they call it when you go to the bathroom.
But I think when you're a student, it's okay. Perhaps
no, it isn't.
25, you want.
I would hitch. Seriously, I would hitch. There was somebody in America at the time that I was hitching around who was capturing and killing dumb foreign hitchers. And I would still say hitch rather than take a Greyhound bus.
Wow.
I mean, because you have also no control over who's going to be travelling with you. And I'm sitting by the window seat, and somebody is coming up the aisle, and you think, don't sit next to me, don't sit next to me, don't sit next to me. Oh, they're sitting next to me. And the first thing that he said was, has Jesus come into your life?
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, yes.
Well, let me tell you, put your rucksack on the seat next to you and pretend to be asleep.
Yeah, or put your head between your knees and pretend to be throwing up, yeah.
Anyway.
Jessica, it's been a delight travelling back through all these wonderful memories with you, but now I must go. This is LBC 97.3.
In the world of business, meeting...
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. Here's a call from America, Atlanta, USA. Joja. Hello, Steve.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Because you're not riding on a Greyhound?
Yes.
I called to agree with you on that whole topic.
It's like catching the bus in Los Angeles. You only do it as a last resort.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I had the position where I had to take a Greyhound bus like 2 or 3 times a week from Manhattan to Atlantic City because my wife's an attorney and she was working on a trial there.
Your wife's an attorney and she had you take the bus?
Well, we don't have no one in Manhattan has a car.
Right, okay.
When she would go, she would have a car take her and the firm would pay for it.
Right.
But, I mean, maybe the lead counsel can take his trophy wife in and out in a car. But her firm is only willing to pay for a bus ticket for the husband of one of the associate attorneys.
Okay.
But yeah, it wasn't as bad as what you're thinking of, like a trip with multiple stops, because it was just 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
From Port Authority to Atlantic City. But it was just the people, it's just like the people on the bus made it scarier than a plane.
Because taking a bus in America is not like taking a bus here. Ordinary people take buses in this country, but people in America, they would only take the bus if they don't have any other options left to them, if they don't have a car. And outside of Manhattan, everyone has a car in America.
Yes, we have a car now that we're in Atlanta.
Because you couldn't go down to the corner shop without it, right?
Exactly. Well, I can almost make it to we live in the one part of Atlanta where you can sort of walk to things just because that was a deal breaker.
But if you do, you're the only person doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can ride my bike on the sidewalks.
Yes, because they're completely uninfested with people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and so yeah, the Greyhound bus, it was just terrible. And it's like, you knew, and I always knew that someone was going to sit next to me because you want to sit next to the guy who doesn't look like a career criminal.
Yes.
So I'd be the first choice as opposed to like 90% of the people who were sitting on the bus.
Yes.
Because I have shoes.
Right. So everybody that gets on the bus is going to immediately select you to sit next to. I was probably selected for the very same reason, yeah. I was the only one who didn't look like they'd kill them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see, though, why if you were like 20 years old, like Jessica was describing, and you wanted to just get out and see the country, and you enjoyed a bit of shabby chic, maybe.
No, there's shabby chic and there's slumming it. No offence to the nice people who run the Greyhound buses, but they're hideous. I mean, I don't know if the things have probably changed significantly since I was hitching in America, which was, I don't know, 1979 and then again in 82. I even hitched in Los Angeles. I was staying with some relatives in L.A., and I suppose if it was London, it would be, I don't know, sort of Belsize Park, as near as to the centre as that, relatively speaking. But in LA, of course, you're a 2-hour drive away from the centre of town. And if you wanted to take the bus, it's 3 changes and up to 4 hours. So I thought, forget that. So I hitched, which is probably the single most insane thing I've ever done in my life, hitching within the city of Los Angeles. But the scariest trip that I had was with an old, I swear she was maybe 90 years old, this old lady in a battered VW Beetle, pulls up. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that she would be stopping for hitchhikers was bizarre enough. But she was one of these old ladies that's so small she actually looks through the steering wheel rather than over it. And she had no concept of road manners or rules, or if she was going to turn left, then she was going to turn left, regardless of what anybody else was doing. I never thought I'd arrive alive. That was the scariest trip I had.
That was my first car, an orange 74 Bug.
Wow. Well, I would imagine that you got pulled over a lot in that.
Well, that was it was in 1985.
Okay.
When I had it. So it was just a local car. It wasn't, I couldn't take it anywhere.
Right, you didn't have it painted in paisley colours.
No.
and have an LA plate on it in...
it wasn't like a minibus.
In Alabama,
with with a big peace sign over the mirror.
Yeah.
No.
And a sign on the back that says, don't waste any time, just take me straight to jail. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no Grateful Dead stickers for me.
No.
Probable cause here in America.
Right. Yeah, exactly right, yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that, Steve.
Bye.
0845 6060 973. Even taking a long-distance coach in this country is bad enough, but Greyhound, because the distances are so very much further. I mean, you could travel from the tip of this country to its corresponding opposite and still have got no further than the horizon in Texas. And the scenery will be exactly the same. In this country, you turn a corner and it's different, right? Over there, you can't get your head around how big how big it is. It's huge. Here is Gravesend. Hello, Donna.
Hello, Nick.
Donna.
How are you, hon?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. I just phoning up about whereabouts. What would you say was your favourite in America? Favourite place you've been?
Well, I've been so many places. There's a place called Boulder in Denver, near near Denver in Colorado, which is where Mork and Mindy was set.
Oh, yeah.
Nanu. It's all very muesli eating, healthful hippie types there. And they ski, and it's all very outdoorsy. That's a beautiful place. The Rocky Mountains are fantastic. The Grand, all of the sites.
Do you go on foot? Like, do you go walking, trekking, and stuff like that?
No, not really. No. I delivered a car from New York to Tucson in Arizona.
Like it.
It was a Fiat Spider, a tiny little two-seater car, and it's as though somebody had taken the front seat and twisted it so that you were looking out the side window almost while going ahead. 500 miles a day I was going like that. The air conditioner was broken. I was going through Texas in August. It was 115 degrees outside. I was sweating so much that I would stop at a garage, look out the window to check for snakes before I got out the car, and then down 2 cans of Coke. Just without stopping.
That wouldn't have helped you, though. That would have made you more thirsty.
But that's all you got to drink there. That was in the days before they had bottled water.
Oh, dear. Have you ever been to San Francisco or Seattle?
Yes. Not as far as Seattle. I spent a month in Oregon. That's a fantastic place.
Is it?
San Francisco, I thought, it's all right.
I fell in love with San Francisco.
Did you leave your heart there?
I did indeed.
Oh, right.
I must admit, I watch Ironside now to get a glimpse of it again.
Ironside? Was that San Francisco?
Yeah, they've got the Golden Gate Bridge there and everything, and they show it in the beginning of the programme. They show it all.
There was a period in American television when all cops, all detectives, had to have something wrong with them. There was Ironside, who was in a wheelchair, obviously. Yeah. There was Columbo, who could,
he wasn't disabled.
Well, just look at him. Yeah, he was. He was socially disabled, and he could only see out of one eye. It's true. And there was,
yeah, what about the others?
Who was the fat guy? Cannon.
Cannon. He wasn't disabled either.
Yeah, he was. He was gigantically obesely fat. That is a disablement.
Yeah,
he could barely get out of his car.
Kojak.
No wonder it wobbled so much. Yeah, Kojak didn't have any hair. And there wasn't that guy who was blind. Wasn't there a blind detective? There was Miss Marple, who was disabled by being an old lady.
She was English, wasn't she?
Well, I hadn't that too, yeah, you're right. But not anymore. Now they're running, jumping,
they're all fitness freaks.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, the good old days.
I know, eh?
Yeah, that's why I watched that, just for, to get reminiscent.
Are they still showing that on television?
They show it on ITV, Channel 10, what's that? On Freeview.
No idea.
3, I think.
They have they've got so many channels that they've actually got nothing to put on them, have they? So they're dredging up the old rubbish that we didn't like much the first time round.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much, Donna.
Thank you, honey.
Cheers, my dear. 0845 6060 973. It's 8:14. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Oh, delays on the M4 now.
How may I help you?
Hey, Leslie, how may I help you?
Hello?
Leslie.
Hello there. Have you ever done an internal flight in the States?
I
think you probably remember if you have.
Well...
Something like the one of them I did.
Okay, go ahead and tell us.
We were coming into New York. Now, I can't remember which airport. It could have been Newark. I can't remember now. But I know we a lot of water, obviously, around that part of the world. And we were stacked.
You were what?
Stacked, you know.
Oh, stacked, yes.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. That's no problem, you know. And the pilot suddenly decided there was a lovely fire on the port side of the aeroplane, and everybody had been able to see that.
Well, you mean on the plane?
No, on the ground.
Oh, right.
But the people on the plane could see the fire. So he thought it would be great fun to turn the plane around so as the people on the starboard side could see it.
Right.
Thought, yeah, that's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we must have lost our place in the stack.
Oh. Couldn't he have said, can you save my place to the plane just behind him? So I'm going to nip over here for a minute. Can you just save my... You could leave your bag there.
I thought it was absolutely hilarious. But then I had an even better one on a British flight. I can't remember where the hell I was flying to now, but there was a character sitting behind us, and a gentleman sitting beside me, and the stewardess came up and asked this gentleman, would he mind sitting in the seat behind? Well, he didn't, because it was near the exit door where you get a lot more leg room. He was quite pleased.
Right.
So this character bumps himself down beside me, and I'm not paying any attention to him. And he said, you know why I wanted to change seats? I said, no, I have no idea. He said, well, if that door comes open, I'd have been sucked out.
Well, that's true enough.
I said, if that door had been open, we'd have all been sucked out.
Yeah.
Why do I always meet these weird people on planes?
I think that's where they congregate, Leslie.
Is it?
Yeah, they can see you coming. People get weird on planes because we're also very stressed out.
Well, I don't like flying.
Well, who does?
I've flown an awful lot.
I bet pilots don't even like flying.
Oh, well, my late brother-in-law was a pilot with BA for many, many years.
And?
But, so I really shouldn't have been frightened. I mean, you know, knowing him, I've been up in the cockpit and things, handed a note to the captain and said, can I come up and see?
Well, I can remember being shown around the cockpit as well. Those days are long gone.
Oh, God, yes, these days it's locked and everything, isn't it? Isn't it awful? What a time we live in.
Well, actually, it isn't always locked. I can remember flying on a plane just recently when the door was open.
Good God.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I wanted to raise a finger of complaint, but of course if they do that, if you make a fuss in the air, they'll divert you to Ireland and lead you off the plane in shackles.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks very much, Leslie. Happy landings. 0845 6060 973. Talking about flying, by the way, Prince William, God bless you, Mom, has just returned from his short visit to Afghanistan on a flight bearing the body of a soldier killed in action. It emerged yesterday, and all the newspapers are painting him as like a latter-day hero for doing this, supporting our boys and all that rubbish. It does seem that they're undergoing a massive publicity campaign at the moment concerning the royals and the armed forces, aren't they? I think it's a push in order to get you to join up. Anybody want to join up? Hands up in there. You do not want to join up. You'd last 10 seconds in the army. Flying Officer Wales accompanied the body of Trooper Robert Pearson during the return flight from Kandahar Air Base after his secret trip to the war zone. Well, it wasn't very secret, was it? It's in all the papers. Upon his return, the Prince held a private meeting at RAF Lynham with the family of Trooper Pearson, who died when his vehicle hit a mine. While the Ministry of Defence insisted that the Prince's 30-hour trip with the crew of the RAF C-17 had been planned nearly a month ago, it was criticised by some fellow servicemen and royal watchers as a public relations exercise. See, it's not just me. For, all of the time that they were doing this, Wills and Harry, when they were off yomping, you know, and then we come to find out that we thought that Harry was over here and he wasn't. He was getting dusty over with, supporting our boys, and it was supposed to be a secret, but then somehow it got leaked to that gossip site in America, wasn't it? The Drudge Report. Which could print it, of course, it being outside of the borders of this country. And then once it was on the net, everyone knew, and we come to find out that he's a hero. He's not just some drunken stoner who falls out of bougies every night. He's actually, one of our boys. And so I thought, well, that's like killing two birds with one stone. That's dispelling the image that we've got of his just, a feckless party monster, with no concern over his future because he's minted, and propelling a good message about service to people who are thinking, oh, what can I do with my life? Should I be, signing on, or maybe I can go up the front with the lads? So I thought, you're killing two birds with one stone there. It's genius. Send them off there, but don't pretend that it's a secret, but then let everybody know, and then they can bathe in the glory of something that doesn't look like a PR stunt, but actually is. You see? It's like a roundabout, twisty way of doing it. They said it was an attempt to cover over the controversial decisions to... these are the people who, the Royal Watchers and fellow servicemen. They said it was an attempt to cover over the controversial decisions to allow the Prince to fly RAF Chinook helicopters to a stag party on the Isle of Wight. Well, they only did that because they didn't think they'd get caught. And you remember he flew the helicopter to the stag party? He didn't leave it there. He had his co-pilot fly it back. Co-pilot not invited. Like, that would be like fraternising with the help. So he had to scarp her straight away. Your name's not on the list, you're not coming in. It was like having a driver, wasn't it? It's like, you're my designated driver. It also suggested that he didn't want his military service to be overshadowed by Prince Harry's tour of duty in Afghanistan. So we went on this little sortie. Because the last thing that we remember about Wills is that he took the helicopter and he landed at his girlfriend's place. They were at pains to point out that he didn't get out. But they protested too much about that. Really, didn't they? I mean, we don't know that he didn't get out. We were just told that he didn't get out. Well, why did he land there? Why would he land in right next to his girlfriend's house and not get out?
Maybe it's just for practice.
Well, he's going to have to land at some point, isn't he? He can practice when he has to land. He didn't have to go over to his girlfriend's place and land. Why would he do that? And not get out? I mean, would you not get out? I mean, you'd go out for a cup of tea and some crumpet. Anyway, the controversial... So that was the last image that we had of him. You know, this braying hooray going to his posh stag do's, his posh mate's stag do. So we wanted to dispel that and actually do something that would get written positively about. Well, we see through your ruse. They said it was an attempt to cover over the controversial decision to allow the Prince to fly RAF Chinook helicopters. Those are those... I mean, how much petrol did he use for a start? The Chinook helicopters, they're the size of a house. Has a Chinook helicopter flown over your place? Because every now and again, like two of them will come over where I live, presumably carrying Gordon to some meeting somewhere. You know, if the Prime Minister's in the air, I think you have to have two choppers so they don't know which one to shoot down. I think that's the reason that they do it. I'm telling you, the noise from those things is colossal. It's like the end of the world when a Chinook helicopter... And you can hear it from miles away. And you think, blimey, that's loud. Nothing on Earth, or indeed above it, could ever get louder than that. But it's a mile away. by the time it gets to you, all of your knickknacks have been shaken off your mantelpiece, Raj. What kind of knickknacks have you got on your mantelpiece, by the way?
Mostly porcelain cats.
Mostly, yeah. I bet you got one of those clocks that's in a glass dome.
One of those, and one of those coronation
plates.
Yeah.
Oh, they're fantastic. It was also suggested that he didn't want his military service to be overshadowed by Prince Harry's tour of duty in Afghanistan, because there's been recent pictures of him looking all bearded and dusty, like he is actually, joining in. It's like a brief holiday in the sun before he goes back home to do nothing.
He'd probably just been romping in a sandbox in a playground somewhere.
Don't you mean yomping, not romping? Very different activities, yomping and romping. Soldiers do not romp together. Yomp, yes. Romping, only in extreme circumstances. Ken Wharf, a former Royal Protection Officer, said that Prince William would have been in no real danger during his visit. I'm slightly sceptical about this, he said. He's a former Royal Protection Officer. So, yeah, I'm not buying any of this. Anybody really buying any of this? All looks like giant PR BS to me. So there was that. The number's 0845 6060 973. Somebody wants to talk about doctors' receptionists. Do I want to take that call? It seems a bit...
dropped off. I think her battery went.
Oh, really? It seems a bit left field. Doctors' receptionists. Hello?
No, we're just trying to get her now.
Doctor...
Maybe she's saying that they do a good job.
Hello, Dr. Kill Patient's office. How can I help you? Anyway, let's have... the story. How long have I got? Oh, tantalisingly small amount of time. There's nothing I've talked about so far been of any interest to anybody listening to this show. It's the truth. I'm talking to a wall. What have I talked about so far? You've been writing it down.
Being held by... the first thing on my list is being had by speed cameras.
Oh, well, I will do that in an emergency. There was the story about the soldier that was denied a disabled badge. This is one of the examples of how soldiers are treated. This is an example of why you shouldn't join the army. Shocked para Stu Pearson has seen his disability benefits axed despite having his leg blown off. Now, you'd think that somebody with only one leg would be considered to be disabled by anybody. Apparently not. The hero sergeant was deemed fully fit because because he now has had a false leg. Oh, right. He still uses a wheelchair when his prosthetic limb becomes too painful, and he's also had his blue disabled parking badge confiscated by the authorities. He said, I just don't understand it. He was awarded the Queen's Gallantry Medal after his ordeal 18 months ago, in which he saw a fellow para killed and 2 others lose their legs. He says, I can't get my leg out of the car without opening the door as wide as possible, so I have to park in disabled bays. But now they won't let him. This is the way they're treated. They give blue badges to people just because they're fat these days, he said. But a guy gets his leg blown off for his country and he does not qualify. It's not that he doesn't qualify. He had one and they took it away. Department of Works and Pensions rules state that to claim the allowance, people must have a physical or mental disability, be in care or have trouble walking. He's got one leg. Do you think that that might apply to any of these things? There's a couple. 2 weeks ago it emerged that an Iraqi teenager accidentally shot by a British soldier is to get £2 million compensation. Stu got 61,000 for his loss. Last night, a DWP, Department of Works and Pensions spokesman said, "We cannot comment on individuals." But Minister for the Disabled Anne Maguire vowed to take up Stu's case after being alerted by the Sun. Yes, and I think that's the key fact here: being alerted by the Sun. Otherwise, well, she hadn't shown an interest up to that point. Defence Secretary Des Brown also stepped in to pursue Stu's entitlement to a blue badge with the Department of Transport. All of these people, the Sun runs this country, leaping into action as soon as they get on the phone. I'm going to write to the Sun about my debacle with the with the traffic, with the ticket Taliban. Hey, that's what we should call them now. The ticket Taliban. He said to me, when he overcharged me by £1.60, he says, do you want your ticket? I said, have you got a receipt? Because I just wanted to annoy him in any way I possibly could. He says, the receipt's the ticket. Do you want it? And I said, yes, I'll take it as a souvenir. That was me fighting back for the common man. Didn't do me any good. This is LBC 97.3. The time, 8:30.
Dear, you can talk to me.
He said, I'm listening, dear, you can talk to me. Let's have a call in Barnet. Hello, Leon.
Hello there.
Leon.
Yes, hearing about the Greyhound made me remember when I was 17 and I bought a Greyhound pass and bussed America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was during the Sky Wars as well, which meant you flew out with Laker from London.
Oh, right.
For £24.
That was a long time ago.
It was.
Was it late 70s, something like that?
78.
Laker, yeah.
Yes, and the Greyhound pass was £90 for 1 month.
It's tremendous value for money, but it's only that cheap because it's not something that anybody actually wants to do by choice.
Yeah. But the first one, I filled in a voucher in New York, and I took the bus to Orlando. And after the first 24 hours, I knew I'd made a big mistake.
Right.
And it was
but you were stuck there because you had a pass.
I had a pass, and I went on to New Orleans and up to Canada, and it was unbelievable. Never again. Never, ever again.
So you started where?
Well, I flew into New York.
Right.
I'm staying in New York, City. And I was Friday morning, 9 o'clock, took the Greyhound bus from New York to Orlando.
To Atlanta, that's a short trip.
No, Orlando, in Florida.
Orlando, that's a massive trip.
Yes. So
that's virtually the entire length of the country. That's over 1,000 miles.
That's why I realised I'd made a big mistake on the pass. And got in Orlando a day and a half later. And,
So you sleep on the bus as well?
You slept on the bus.
Oh, that is hideous. How it must have smelt.
Oh, planes, trains and automobiles is it is like, not like that, but it's similar with the people you meet on the bus.
Because you're sitting bolt upright. Apart from every 2 hours, at all time of the day and night, they stop at a comfort station, which also has like an American version of a greasy spoon attached. The result is constipation like you couldn't believe a human being could endure.
Yeah, and it's sort of 2:30 in the morning, you're still sitting there, in the bus station.
Yeah, bolt upright.
You've got these little TV sets you put in for a quarter.
That's
watch
right.
for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Then back on the bus, and sort of finding accommodation. So I went on to New Orleans, sort of blagged my way into the YMCA there. Then I thought, I'm not going to go forward to California. Just couldn't do it.
No, this is a high-class trip you were taking, Leon.
Oh, then up to Canada, to Toronto and Quebec, and
so that sounds like about 3,000 miles to me.
Yeah, and then coming back from New York to London, I went standby on BA and got it for £8.
Wow, worth every penny, I bet.
Pardon? Yes, but the following year when I went back to the States, it was $2.24 on Pan Am.
Yes,
because they drove Laker out of business.
And then they went out of business themselves.
Yes, obviously, with all the problems.
Right.
But I've also done the interrailing as well.
Now, I bet that's a much more, it's a much more salubrious way of travelling.
Well, once again, in them days, British Rail used to have a big office in the bottom of the Haymarket, and you used to go in and used to book your couchettes, which is the berths on the train.
Right.
So I used to book a sixth berth and used to have to take the top bunk because that was normally the most room on the couchette.
Also, if anybody had an accident, they'd be dripping on people beneath them rather than
you. Of course. But in them days, it was the Iron Curtain. So the furthest east you could go on your pass, you could go all the way up to Romania, Bucharest, Hungary. But in them days, they weren't the tourist destinations like they are today.
No, it was one man with a cart.
Yes, I said even in Prague,
being pulled by his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, the worst thing was in Romania, in Bucharest. where, you've got money in your pocket, but you can't buy any food.
Right.
It got to the point where you went into the Intercontinental Hotel with your passport and you still couldn't buy a sandwich. You were virtually eating ice cream in Romania in them days.
So yummy.
Yeah, and all the buses had helium tanks on them, like balloons, and there's power cuts everywhere.
Travel has certainly changed, Even people with no money can afford to travel better than that.
I know. I said, and on the Rome, the woman was talking about the train on the Rome. In the old days, when the low-cost airlines used to fly into Italy, before they used to fly into Rome like they do now, used to fly to Pisa and then get the trains down to Rome, which took about 2.5 hours.
You couldn't even fly into Rome.
No, you couldn't fly into Rome.
Pretty soon you won't be able to get from northern Italy to southern Italy without a visa. They're going to cut the country in half. All the people that work are going to be cosseted in the north.
Yeah.
And all the people who are on constant siesta, they're going to be excised to live in the poor south. Yeah.
But I was in Naples a few years ago during the general election.
Napoli.
Napoli. I was staying at the youth hostel there, and there was obviously the soccer match was on the Saturday, and Naples were a good team. And there was a mass riot afterwards, and there were tear gas and helicopters and everything.
Well, it sounds like a weekend out in Colchester.
I know, but they were fighting against the general election.
They're going crazy in Italy at the moment. The stuff that's going on over there is really quite extraordinary. They're doing Nazi salutes to the new mayor of Rome. The new Mussolini has just taken power over there.
Yes, he got the thumbs up from Berlusconi.
And the population in general, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, listen, Leon, I've got to move on, but thanks very much, all right.
You're welcome.
Well, we seem to be doing, like, holiday nightmares, which is as good a thing as any to talk about. Everyone's got them, which will lead us away from anything to do with politics, which we have to avoid like the plague until 10 p.m., which suits me fine. So, holiday nightmares. I don't think I've ever done that. Isn't this exciting? 0845 6060 973. Got a holiday nightmare, Raj?
Yeah, I've got a few.
Right. But you're going to keep them to yourself? None of my business?
Let me think of the worst one
right,
and I'll get back to you.
I'm on tender hooks. I literally can wait. Marble Arch. Hello, Mark.
Evening, Nick.
Yes, Mark.
Holiday nightmares.
Go on, then.
Greyhound buses.
Yes.
I spent 7,400 miles on a Greyhound bus.
What?
Going from east to west, west to east, north to south, over to the west, up to north again, all over America on the Greyhound bus.
What, were you stuck in the luggage compartment?
No, but it was a nightmare because, as the previous caller said, if you're driving all through the night, stop at McDonald's at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
Right.
Arrive at 6 o'clock and the next bus goes at 7 o'clock. You're changing buses left, right and centre. And through the night, the aircon is always on. And as you know, by the window, there's a constant draft.
Yeah.
So your arm gets frozen. And when you ask the driver to turn the aircon off, when he does, the whole place stinks of those smell from the toilets, doesn't it?
It stinks of customers, yeah.
Yeah, but the plus side of it is because we are English, the Americans love our accent.
Yes, they do.
When you say, "Call blimey, governor," innit, mate, they love it.
They think that you're actually posh and you must know the Queen. Yeah.
That's right. And they think England is always full of fog and castles, and we wear chokers around our necks and wear cloth caps and go, call blimey, governor. But that is the plus side. But the actual buses are so uncomfortable, they get backache. I mean, now I'm told to do that now, but I must admit, I saw a lot of America. Mountains, snow.
Yeah, it's got the lot. Here, Mark, I am curious. What is that racket in the background? It seems to have dissipated a bit, but what was that noise?
It's the bus I'm driving back to the garage.
Why is it making that much noise?
Because it's built so terrible, isn't it?
Oh, right.
It's built bus.
Right. Oh, well, you should have said.
So there you go. But, I mean, as I've said, if you want to see America and meet people, Greyhound bus is a great way to travel, but it's very uncomfortable.
Right.
Cold in the evenings because the aircon is always on all the time.
It doesn't sound great either way that you're saying it or I am. And he just disappeared there. I didn't disappear him, he did, because his phone is probably made by the same company who make the bus. It sounded like he was trying to take the bus apart. When it started there, it sounded as though someone was actually removing it, rivet by rivet, from around him. What was that racket? No bus sounds like that.
Maybe it was gremlins in the system.
Gremlins. 0845 6060 973. For some bizarre reason, I can't remember how we got onto this, I'm doing holiday nightmares. Sure, why not? We need a good laugh. 0845 6060 973. Here's Banstead. Hello, Charlotte.
Hello, Nick.
Charlotte.
I heard you talking about aeroplanes. Did you see the story in the paper today?
About
that Typhoon fighter.
a Typhoon fighter. Oh, they forgot to put the wheels down.
Yeah, and I down crash landed a brand new 69 million Typhoon fighter.
What an idiot.
Apparently after forgetting to put the wheels down.
How can you... I mean, you're coming into land, that you think that would be the most important thing to remember. Yeah.
69 million. Actually, we've got 48 of them. That's 69 million each.
48. Well, 47 now. Yeah, he bent it.
Yeah, he said the mangled jet will be brought back to Britain to see if it can be repaired.
And they're not going to fire him, of course, because to train a fast jet fighter pilot costs about £3 million. In fact, I did a survey for the RAF, which I probably shouldn't say. It's very secret. As a kid, I think they just were... I did it in when I was at university. We didn't actually have summer holidays. We went and did work placements for summer holiday, and I went to do. I think they were just being polite and giving some, students a job, just to do their bit. And I was investigating whether it's possible to eliminate. Not that I would have come up with anything, even if there had been something to find, because at the time, and in fact now, I know nothing. And I was just a kid, but it was to see if there were any personality types that would indicate their future failure during a fast jet fighter pilot training course, because they get through so many of them at such massive cost, in much the same way as we train doctors now for something like £250,000, and then we actually spend the money on training them, and then we don't have a job for them to do. That kind of not joined up thinking.
It's 69 million though.
Yeah. But £3 million per pilot to train, and they have a dropout rate of over 50%. Yeah, so it's costing a massive amount of money just to get one working pilot. And they wanted to know if there was any trait that would indicate a future failure. And I couldn't find it if there was, But then I didn't expect them to.
No.
They didn't expect me to.
Are they actually being used in Iraq now?
Do what?
Are they being used abroad now?
Are they being...
used, are they being in Iraq?
Those planes?
Yes, the Typhoons.
I think the royal family is using them as taxis.
Are they?
Yeah. Every time they need to go out and get a bottle of milk, they nip over to Harrods. They've got a landing platform on the top. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know what you say. I hope it was, wasn't William doing it.
No, I don't think so.
To put the wheels down.
No. OK, thanks a lot, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. It's 8:45. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Some better news at last on the...
Everything is going extremely well.
One of the world's most desirable computers is the subject of our reverse auction at the moment. It's a MacBook Air laptop, one of these super thin things from Apple. Costs well into four figures. You could get it for a matter of pennies. It's a reverse auction. The person with the lowest unique bid wins. To enter, text LBC plus your bid in pence to 88821. If it was a bid of, let's say, 21 pence, it would be LBC 21 to 88821. Bids cost £1.50 plus your standard network rate. Lines close 5:30pm Friday. Bidders must be over 16. See lbc.co.uk for full terms and conditions. Good luck. The number, by the way, is 0845 6060 973. Here's Romford. Hello, Val.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Val.
Hi, good evening, Nick. Can you hear me?
Yes, Val.
Hi, a lovely show first. Regarding this Typhoon fighter, how much costs one?
How much does it cost?
Yeah, roughly.
483,248.60.
Quite dear, isn't it?
Yes.
Everybody seems to blame the pilot being so stupid that he forgot to drop the landing gear, is it?
I'll say.
Yeah. Now, as far as I understood, those planes are specially designed to be unstable, so the computers actually are flying the plane, right? A bunch of computers, 6, 7 or something like that.
They're designed to be unstable?
Yes, for increased maneuverability. They are specially designed to be unstable, and if actually it's a computer who flies the plane, not one, around 6 or 7, because I saw that on Discovery.
Yeah.
So, okay, if this pilot was so stupid that he forgot to drop the landing gear,
right?
It just, it's a thought that crosses my mind. How stupid are the designers that they did not include a simple warning, landing gear not deployed when you are too close to, to the ground?
Well, apparently they do. There's a woman's voice, which they call the... Oh, it's just some funny name they call it. What is it? It's the, Oh, it was... Hang on a minute. It was in the, One moment, please... Oh, maybe I didn't pull that out. All of the good stories I leave on my desk. Isn't that disappointing? They call her if you read that story today and you know what the woman is called in the cockpit, then give me a call. 0845 6060 973. That's going to annoy me all night long now. But they do have one of those, the voice on a sat-nav which says turn left.
Right, like
yeah. Well, apparently they do have that. And it says something like... The wheels are down, something like that. And then they have lights on the panel, and and 3 green ones come up. I could land this plane myself, I know so much about it. Three green lights come up if your wheels are down.
So it was an acoustic warning, and...
Oral and visual, yeah.
And the guy still didn't deploy the landing gear?
Correct.
Well, it's a pretty dim thing, then.
Pretty dim thing, yeah, that's right.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, cheers, Val.
Cheers, bye.
0845 6060 973. We're talking about all sorts of things, really. I'm still trying to wheedle people's holiday nightmares out of them, but that doesn't seem to have caught. I'm throwing chum into the ocean, and no one's biting, Raj. I can't believe that nobody wants to share their holiday nightmares with me. I mean, there's many and various. I could get into it myself, but I've been talking and yak. Have you got yours yet? Still writing it?
No, I've got one.
Still making it up. Here is Watford. Hello, Richard.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Yes, Richard.
Yeah, I took a holiday in the States a couple of years back and went to San Diego, hired a car, and as I was saying to you, young lady there, the car parks around the shopping area there are so vast that they designate them in either fruit, or so you get a number 2 apple or a vegetable and a number 2 turnip, and you get in these car parks and you can quite easily lose your way. Having said that, the car that I parked, when I came back to get the car, it was missing. The guy in a golf buggy drove me round and round these car parks trying to find it. Anyway, it had been stolen. Now,
and did you think at the time, blimey, of all the cars in this entire lot, mine was stolen?
Mine, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it was, that I must have left the key in the boot as I put something in the boot, you see.
Right.
So consequently, somebody must have spotted that, drove the car out. Now, how they got out of the car park without a ticket, God above knows. But anyway, they got out. And then I came home, Julie, after getting another car from the Avis, I think it was. I got another car. They were quite helpful. So as I got home, I filled out a police report, blah, blah, blah. Came home. About 2 months later, I got a letter from Avis that I owed them, I forget how much it was in dollars, but it came out to £1,700.
What?
Yeah, the car had gone missing, and because I hadn't got the key, they said, what happens over there? People lend their key, lend the car to somebody, they hire it, lend the key to somebody, lend the car, rather, and it gets smashed up. Well, anyway, this car ended up in Mexico, which is quite near to San Diego.
Yeah.
So consequently, the car was damaged, and there was £1,700 worth of damage. They got the car back, and I go to the States, fairly regularly, so I felt I had to pay it.
Right, because otherwise your name will pop up on the list as you try
exactly, and I'd end up in the pokey, wouldn't I?
Right.
So it was a dear hobby. Anyway, tell anybody to keep their hand on their there's a saying, keep your hand on your halfpenny, but keep your hand on your key.
Right. Okay, thanks very much, Richard.
Okay, bye.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. I remember being one of the most impressed I've ever been with a business when I hired a car last time in America. You know, the actual hiring process takes forever. You've just come off a plane, it's late at night, you just want to get in your car and go. Oh, no. First of all, you have to stand behind a bloke who's got some sort of problem. He's filling out a form to change his personality or something like that. It's just going on forever. And then they finally get to you and you need your credit card and your licence and you're rooting through your luggage and you have to fill out this big form and what's your name, what's your mother's maiden name, who you're travelling with, are you going to be driving, is it all of you going to be driving, which side do you wear your watch, it's just never ending. When you come back, I think the keys had like a barcode on the back of them. Parked in the car park, this was in Miami. A guy came over, I was expecting to have to take all the leaflets and stuff and go and queue and fill out the form and how many miles did you travel and let's have a look around the car to see if we can find any dents or scratches or anything like that, and you would think you'd be there for, well, the rest of your life. He came over, he had one of these barcode readers, he waved it over the keys and said, that's it. I'd never been so impressed. Like, I was standing there dumbfounded, expecting, in fact I said, well, isn't there anything else? I mean, can't I go and fill in a form or something, wait in a line for something? No, that was it. See ya. Brilliant.
I'll tell you what I don't get. People who hire a car straight out of the airport, unless you've been to that place before, how do you know where you're going?
Well, you don't. And Miami is apparently, or used to be, I think they've changed it now, after a lot of tourists heard this as the last thing that they ever heard. People used to get shot in Miami, leaving the car park on almost an hourly basis. You had to run in a ducking position from the airline to your hire car. They were getting shot left, right and centre because it was easy pickings. You wandered around with the keys in your hand in a car park that's as big as London, not really knowing where you're going, you're dazed because you just come off an 8-hour flight and you feel terrible. And then you get in your car, and where do you go? You have no idea. The area around an airport is usually one of the worst areas in the, in that vicinity. I mean, look at Heathrow. It's got Anslow next to it, and that's horrible. It's H for horrible. Miami horrible is significantly worse than London horrible, though. If you take a wrong turn in Miami, if you get off the freeway at the wrong spot, then you're in deep doo-doo. And, of course, the crims, the perps, they know this. And so they used to just stake out the airport, basically, and pick people off as they came by, like in the Wild West. Things ain't changed much out there.
I bet they didn't get their deposits back.
No. Well, that's right, yeah. But they've changed it now. I think they put a sign up. Isn't that nice? To lock all the windows and just don't stop for anything. They do actually not stop for things. They do advise you, if you get off at the wrong, which I did once, and you can be driving along, you've just left a pleasant restaurant in a nice area of town where you can actually walk around without getting shot to death, and you were driving along the freeway, and you don't really know where you're going, and you take a wrong turn, you take a wrong exit, and you find yourself in the third world. Except initially it doesn't look that bad to you, because they're all detached houses. Well, I mean, they're not mansions, mind, but they are actual dwellings with a garden around them. And you think, well, to get a dwelling with a garden around, you'd have to have a bit of money in this country at least. And so you're not immediately scared. And then you see people lying in the road, and dogs with 3 legs, just sitting in the middle of the street. And giant groups of people hanging around chain link fences. And you think, well, maybe I'd better leave. How? And your only option is to ask for directions, which is the last thing you'll ask for. Anyway, take a sat-nav is my best advice, or somebody who knows where they're going. This is LBC. We care for you. 97.3.
We are gathered here today.
5:30 on LBC 97.3.
Honey, how are you?
Now, I have weather news. Now, before I say this, I should point out that the weather from what I'm about to say doesn't correspond to the weather that's on the website that I'm looking at. Both information has come from the same source. They can't even agree with themselves. Britain is set for a tropical weekend. A tropical weekend! With temperatures hitting a possible high of 77 Fahrenheit. Break out the hallelujahs, the Met Office said yesterday. A combination of warm air and showers means that the bank holiday will be humid. Temperatures will shoot up to 70 degrees in the southeast on Saturday. A Met Office forecaster said that the temperatures will rise by a degree or so on Sunday. The upper bound of probability, 25 degrees centigrade. That's 77 Fahrenheit. Unfortunately, there will be quite a lot of rain, too, which means it will be humid. He said that there was a degree of hope of some sunshine next week, but added, in the first half of May, the forecasts don't inspire a huge amount of confidence in keeping the wetter fronts at bay. So at least it's getting warmer, but it's not getting brighter. So that's what the Met Office said, reported in the paper. What the Met Office says, reported on the internet, is that it's going to be raining, and then not raining on Saturday or Sunday. The complete opposite of what they said there, and that the top temperature will be 70 Fahrenheit, not 77. So in the paper, it's a story. Here, nothing much. Although it is going to be warmer. Today is 61, 70 degrees by Sunday. So every day, in every way, it's getting better and better. Isn't that right, Amy?
Hello.
Amy.
Oh, is that Tony?
Tony's not here, I'm afraid.
Oh, no, it's Matt. You're Matt.
No, Matt's not here either. I'll get him to give you a bell when he comes in, all right. Here is Regent's Park. Hello, Randolph.
Hi, Nick. Good evening. Something you said that made me pick up the phone, and I have deduced from listening to you that you do have a terrific sense of humour.
Oh, well, you got to have a laugh, ain't you?
Yes, of course, you must. You have to get through life that way. Now, when you talked about horrible airports and conditions, and then immediately after that you said you had to run in a ducking position, I wonder if that was like Hillary Clinton when she went to Bosnia.
She did say... She had to duck when she went to Bosnia. Let us not forget. That she was under sniper fire at the time.
No, you didn't say sniper fire. You said you had to run and duck, and I just linked the two together.
No, she was under sniper fire.
But you were not. But she ran and ducked also.
Right. I did have a gun pointed at me, though, in Los Angeles.
Oh, dear. Anyhow, you survived. I'm glad you did not become a victim.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks very much. 0845 6060 973. Have you got a nightmare holiday story?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got one.
So aggressive.
Well, I've just seen that you were talking to me.
Hold on to it, all right? And the story, too. Here's a call in Ivor. Hello, Mike.
Nick, hi.
Mike.
Is it all right if I speak to you about The Sopranos?
The Sopranos. You want to talk to me about The Sopranos. Is it all right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good, because I normally listen on podcasts, so I'm a bit behind, but I was really interested. I called a bit about you talking about the last episode.
Yeah.
And you've cleared up one thing for me. I was actually too thick to understand that blank screen was so we could put in our own interpretation. I was actually kicking in the PVR, thinking it had conked out, you know.
Bingo, yeah.
Gone wrong. So
I know, everybody did think immediately, because it was such a shock, it was like dropping off a cliff, wasn't it? Because the tension was building
I know,
and building.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, his daughter was trying to park.
The car.
Which was a brilliant way of racking up the tension, because, of course, it's a very tense thing when you're trying to park, so you can put yourself into that position. And you don't know why they're delaying her entry into the restaurant. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You think that everyone's going to get shot, but her.
Yeah.
And so there must be some purpose for it. So you think, oh no, it's all going to go bad. And then some ne'er-do-well looking types, shifty people come into the restaurant and they just try and look at selecting a song.
And then it went blank. And
went blank right at the end. And you noticed, of course, all the references to... The Godfather throughout the last couple of episodes. The close-ups of the various hitmen dropping their guns on the floor, which is, of course, the advice that was given to Michael Corleone when he went into the restaurant. You've got to drop the gun. Don't forget to drop the gun.
That's right.
And so that's what they were doing all the way through the last couple of episodes. And I think the last 2 episodes of The Sopranos are probably the 2 best television programmes that have ever been broadcast.
The whole thing was wonderful.
It was,
so true what you say about the comedy, Nick. I just wanted to remind you of when they found out Vito was homosexual. And, like, Paulie, straight away, kill him, you know, no benefit of the doubt. And Tony's saying, hold on, he's my best earner, you know. Let's think about this before we go for it. And then they called him Meadows' boyfriend and sat him down in front of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that bit?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's telling them that he saw Vito giving and not receiving.
Well, I think
they all held their hands up in horror, like, "Oh, that's 10 times worse. Let's shoot him twice." You know.
Well, I think the best part of that whole scene was when the evil silver-haired guy, and you're going to have to bear with me for a moment if you didn't watch The Sopranos.
Paulie.
No, he was the good guy. The guy who what was the name of the chap who ordered the hit on Tony at the end?
Oh yes. The other Godfather, yeah.
That he actually ordered the killing of the chap who they found out was gay, and he hid in his room, and then with great drama and flourish came out of the closet as they'd captured him, and there were hints all the way through that the silver-haired guy was actually not fulfilling his marital duties, and then why wasn't he doing that, and all sorts of stuff. It was just a brilliant... I could sit here all night talking to you about it, Mike, but that would be wrong.
Oh, one other thing, Nick, can I just... About when Tony met Jennifer and the psychiatrist, and he was saying about how disgusting it was that Vito, one of his men, was gay, and she pointed out that, you know, he'd been in jail, and this was sort of thing you get in jail.
Yeah, but you get a pass.
A free pass.
A pass for that, yeah. All right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you, bye.
Hey, Raj, I got no scraps in my scrapbook. Remember that. 0845 6060 973. What was that guy's name? That's going to annoy me all night long now. It was Phil Leotardo. How I can remember that and not remember my own name most days, I have no idea. Phil Leotardo came out of the closet. In one of it was just laugh out loud funny, was The Sopranos, but usually you saw the humour more the second time you saw it, because the first time you saw it, you were too busy being scared. And the humour was delivered so dryly that if you weren't aware that there was comedy there, you'd miss it. Brilliant programme. You've seen it yet?
Yeah, I was a fan of it.
Right. How about Chiswick? Hello, Julia.
Hi, Nick.
Julia.
Good to speak to you.
And you.
Listen, I'll be very quick. I was in Fort Lauderdale with my Swiss husband.
Yeah. With your fifth husband?
No, my Swiss.
Swiss, right.
I had a few. One of them was Swiss, okay?
Yeah.
And I was taken violently ill in the restaurant of the hotel.
Right.
So they called me a taxi, and we said to the taxi, take us to the nearest hospital, okay? So we get to the hospital, and I'm doubled up in pain. And then we get to the reception area, and the woman says, name. So I gave her my name. She said, what is it? I said, I've got these terrible cramps. And she looked at me and she said, oh, honey, this hospital is just knives and gunshot wounds.
What?
Yeah.
Knives and gunshot wounds only.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So that was it. So we went off somewhere.
Well, you could have got the cab driver to shoot you.
Anyway.
If you'd thrown up in the back of his car, he would have done.
Probably, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, glad to know that you're still around. Thanks, Julia.
Bye.
Knives and gunshot wounds only. To specialise in that seems incredible. 0845 6060 973. It's 9:14, almost, near enough for jazz. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Well, if you're heading on to the motorways at the moment, it is time.
Here we go.
0845 6060 973. I'm talking about... I can't remember how we got onto this, but we're doing holiday nightmares for some reason. If we wind the tape back, then we'll figure out why, but it's escaping me at the moment.
Isn't it about Greyhound buses?
Yes, that's probably how it did start, yeah. Well done, that man. So if you have a holiday nightmare to share with us, because I don't want to do anything that's got anything to do with politics, because and that covers almost everything that I've got on the table in front of me. I can't really do hospitals, or I can't really even do global warming, can I? I guess I could. Hey, I saw that movie the other day, An Inconvenient Truth.
How was it?
Well, I was quite prepared to dismiss it when I hadn't seen it. Of course, not being in possession of any of the facts has never stopped me from reaching a conclusion and sticking to it before. Why should it stop me now? But after I'd seen it, I thought, hey, you know what? That bloke's no dope. I was completely convinced. We're doomed! And he said at the end, after having presented all this information, all of this really awful stuff that may be happening to us very shortly, including, by the way, the switching off of the... I don't know exactly what it's called, but it looks like a Mobius strip of ocean activity, which basically keeps us temperate. If we didn't have this warm water coming up from I don't know where, then we'd be freezing blooming cold as the other countries on our latitude are. Because if you draw get me up a map of the world there, Raj. I want to see what we're on the same latitude as. Oh, look at the look on his little face. It's like, oh, I've got to go all the way over there. It's like 2 feet away.
I'm not in charge of the computer at the moment.
Oh, right. Well, when do you get time on it?
Before dinner.
Before dinner?
A little bit before.
Right, but you got to do your homework first. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would believe that any other country on our latitude is much, much colder than we are. We're quite pleasantly warm here because of this circulation in the ocean currents. And it peaks with warmth just north of us, and then it hits the air from Greenland, I believe, and then the water gets colder, and the warmth, and that's not important. I could give you a vague description of exactly what's happening, but that's irrelevant. If that gets turned off, as it has done in the past, if this warm water current gets turned off, we will be plunged into Siberia coldness almost like that. It will happen instantly. It won't happen over 100 years and you think, oh, I'll be dead by then. It'll happen next week. We'll be under ice. It will be snowing all the time. It will be like living in Siberia. So that's the sort of scenario that he was painting if we don't mend our wicked ways. And previous to that, I was thinking, forget about that. I'm going to continue driving everywhere. In fact, I'm going to get a car that's even more expensive to run. I'm going to pick one deliberately so it has CO2 emissions escaping it even when it's off. But now I think, well, you know what? Maybe I should... I was going to say catch the bus, but no, that would be going too far. I'm not a hippie.
If that's the truth about global warming,
yeah,
I find that quite inconveniencing.
Here is call in Hampton. Hello, John.
Hi there. Just normally listen to Nick Ferrari and just heard you speaking about the Sopranos tonight.
Yes.
Absolutely tremendous show. Was a little disappointed by the ending, but...
Oh, come off it. How could you be?
No, see, I was looking for a little, some sort of finality there, a conclusion, and it just wasn't delivered, and I thought David Chase copped out a bit with that ending.
I've heard this argument before, and I completely disagree. I think it was the best ending I could possibly imagine, because it left you desperately wanting more.
Or possibly they're setting up for a film sequel there.
Well, I heard that. You know the strip bar that they use, the Bada Bing?
Yeah.
Well, it's an actual strip bar, and they were going to sell all of the fixtures and fittings off, but they stopped the sale, leading people to believe or assume that it was stopped because they're going to need it again.
I mean, this is possibly the case. However, I'm just thinking they've killed off enough of the main characters to, perhaps put a bit of a dampener on it.
Well, that's true, but if you think about you think about a lot of the episodes, it was almost all about Tony Soprano. He was off-screen for a very short amount of time. There was hardly any episodes that he wasn't on screen for most of.
I think that might be a bit of a disappointment, if the film sequel's centred around Tony, because there are so many good characters in the show, with a lot of depth, and I think it'd just be a bit of a disappointment for them to solely focus on Tony, but it's a great show, absolutely great.
Yeah. All right, thanks very much, John.
No problem, thanks.
What did you think about the end? I thought it was, I could not believe how great it was. I was stunned. And of course, when you watch it on Channel 4, if you'd done your duty by them and you hadn't downloaded it off the internet, where it wouldn't have had adverts or some bloke shouting at you at the end, then if you did watch it on Channel 4, it had some moron coming on straight after it finished, and hey, coming up next, Channel 4, like he's auditioning to be a DJ. Oh, God, I hate those people. I really do hate those people. It's not their fault, really. It's the people who run the channel that make them do it. I mean, they don't break into the building and shout all over programmes and ruin it for people. It's the people who are running the channel who are making them do it. I'd like to shoot those people. Or is that unreasonable? A little bit unreasonable, yeah. What were you going to say?
I was just going to tell you what I thought of the ending.
Oh, go on then.
I thought it was quite good as well, because quite a lot was happening, and there's so many things you're kind of thinking of, and then it just suddenly stops, and you don't know which one of those thoughts you should have ended with, if that makes sense.
I also think that the song that they chose, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, was a brilliant choice. They did seem to have the knack of choosing fantastic songs for the ends of programmes that fitted in lyrically with what you'd just seen. Often they were songs I'd never heard of before, but that Journey track is one of my favourites. It's, some classic rock.
Rock and roll!
And I love playing it. But it just seemed to fit lyrically brilliantly with what was happening and who the characters were that we were looking at. But also in the way they'd cut it to the rhythm of the song was just absolutely fantastic. And of course, everybody remembers The Godfather when, is it Vito Corleone? Oh no, it's Michael Corleone, the Al Pacino character, has to go to the restaurant to shoot the police chief, and I can't remember who else was there. There's the three people that he's meeting in a restaurant. They're going to have a sit down in a neutral place. And he has a gun taped to the cistern of the toilet because he can't take a gun in with him because he's going to get patted down. And so he goes into the toilet, and the James Caan character says that you want to make sure that whoever's going to put the gun there does a good job because he doesn't want to come out of the toilet with his bleep in his hand. And so that was the thought that came through my mind, of course, as I'm sure with everybody else, with all the hints that they dropped, that it's shadowing The Godfather with all of these little... the hints that they dropped all the way through with the dropping the gun and all the rest of it. The concentration on food, they're always eating. And so the big guy at the bar goes into the toilet, and then what? I thought it was just such a brilliant ending. Apparently the guy, it was David Chase, wasn't it, who was the creator. Apparently he left America. He left the country before the last episode was played, because he didn't want to be under this tsunami of outrage that he was expecting, that he ended it like that. But if it had all ended up, warmly and cuddly, that wouldn't have represented the programme as a whole, would it? I mean, it would. I think the way it did end was perfectly represented the programme. Brilliant. I'd like to be able to see it all again for the first time, but having seen it 3 times all the way through now, I think I've got to wave it a fond farewell. It's a good job Dexter's on, eh? Otherwise we'd have nothing to watch. Oh, and Heroes has started again. Hoorah! Wallington, hello, Joan.
Hello, Nick.
Joan.
First of all, you said you went to the IMAX and saw, that film.
Yes, I did.
Was it 3D when you were there?
No.
Well, you see, when I went...
Well, the IMAX was three-dimensional, but the film that was on the screen, only
well, when I went, I expected it to be 3D, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Do they actually have a 3D program there at all?
Yeah, they do. Fishes and dolphins and in space and diving for wrecks and all of that sort of stuff. But the Rolling Stones, fortunately, were not in 3 dimensions.
Well,
no.
I saw this train thing. It was, with children.
Train.
It was all about a train that went... I don't know where it went.
Did it go choo-choo?
Sky or something?
It went to the sky?
I think it went to the sky, or it was Christmas or something, and snowmen and... Oh, goodness knows.
Are you sure, Joan?
Yeah, I think I was sure. But I know I was expecting 3D.
Huh.
Well, it wasn't 3D. Anyway.
Well, you know what? When they're showing a 3D film, you can always tell because it will have 3D written on it.
Oh, really?
On the poster, yeah.
Oh, I see.
3D.
Well, that helps.
That's a clue.
But I just expected it. I wasn't looking for anything like that.
You're so demanding.
Yeah, well, I used to be until I learned what life was all about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a youthful folly on your part, expecting something out of life.
I thought, if you did this, this and this, that and that would happen.
Yeah, but does it?
No way!
No, it does not.
No, something else happens.
You can live your life as well as you like, and still stuff happens.
Yeah. Someone has it all keyed up for you.
So you went to London's poshest IMAX cinema, did you?
Yeah.
To see a film about trains in space.
Well, the train went everywhere. I know it went everywhere, and these children got on, and then eventually they got off again.
This wasn't this cartoon thing at Christmas, was it?
Well, I don't know. It was a cartoon. It was a cartoon.
Was it Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What on earth did you go and see
doing
that?
then. I mean, it was so... Oh.
It was Christmas, isn't it? Why did you go and see that?
Well, for the children.
Oh, you were taking children with you?
Yes.
Oh, right.
You know, and it's okay, you can be a bit young for a while, can't you?
I suppose so, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But as long as you were accompanying children, because otherwise I would think you'd probably be out of your mind.
Well, yes, it's a bit like that dinosaur film back a while. What was that called?
What, Jurassic Park?
Yes.
That's not a children's film, that's a great film! How can you not like Jurassic Park?
I went with a 12-year-old lad.
Yeah.
And he insisted I came.
Quite right.
You know, he just said, oh, it's a fantastic film, fantastic film.
You'll love it, Granny, he said.
No, he didn't.
You'll love it, Auntie?
No, he didn't.
You'll love it,
but he said...
Mrs.?
Anyway,
I've got a knife.
Okay,
I've got a knife. Come with me. Did you say that?
And it was great. But I think it was only great because I was with somebody of 12-year-old. You know, I was thinking, oh yes, this is a good film.
Oh, come on, Joan, relax. Let the good times roll. The Jurassic Park is great. Doesn't matter what age you are.
Well, just a moment. Just a moment. When you have that hut, when somebody's inside the hut, and then suddenly a dinosaur just cracks straight through that hut.
I know. It bites his head
was not for grown.
That was great.
Yeah, it wasn't for grown.
One dinosaur bites him on the head, and then the other dinosaur comes up, bites him on the legs, and then they rip him apart.
They did not.
That's my favourite part.
They did not. I know it was an arm that shouldn't have been somewhere. I'm not sure what happened to the arm.
They actually, and you would think that when I saw that, there are two dinosaurs fighting over one tiny person, and they bit him in half, and both had like half each. And I thought, that's not going to satisfy them. That'll be the snack they can eat between meals without ruining their appetite. That's barely going to touch the sides, is it?
It was awfully shocking.
You weren't shocked, Joan.
No, I wasn't. I thought it was a giggle, really.
What an awful woman you are.
But I was going to say...
Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to call back. Gotta go.
Oh, bye.
Thanks, Joan.
Bye.
Oh, yeah, what a great movie. Those monsters. LBC 97.3, it's 9:30. Here's a call in Chiswick. Hello, David.
Oh, Nick, listen, the last half hour, I've been walking around the flat with my fingers stuck in my ears, singing loudly, so I don't hear you talking about The Sopranos. I love it so much, and I haven't seen the ending.
Oh.
Please stop.
You're going to have to hurry up, David. Someone will spoil it for you.
Yeah, I've got it on DVD, and I'm just sort of getting myself psyched up to spend... I've got the whole of Series 6 I've got to watch.
Right. It will go by like a flash of lightning.
I love it to death, but, you know, please don't, because I love your show, and I'm having to miss bits.
Right. Yeah, okay.
It's not good.
I promise I won't talk about it.
I'll tell you what, I'll call you when I've seen it, and then
there
I'll
you go.
release you.
You can give me the green light.
Right.
Good job. Right, thanks, David.
Thank you.
0845 6060 973. That's what I do in cinemas, and I don't care if I look ridiculous while I'm doing it. I stick my fingers in my ears and I hum loudly to myself while looking at the floor when they show the previews for the forthcoming attractions, and they'll show you what happens in the end. They always do that. Much to the chagrin, probably, of the person who made the film. Of all the people that made the film, 3,000 people laboured for 6 months to make this work of art, and then some bloke comes along and does an advert for it, and they tell you all of the plot twists and how it ends, making it unnecessary to see the film now, because you've seen it, pretty much, in about 30 seconds. Bambi's mother gets shot right at the end. I bet that bloke hasn't seen that movie either. I've spoilt that for him too. Dumbo forgets to put his landing gear down. Splats all over the runway. And the airline loses his trunk. It's a calamity. Here is Soho. Hello, Mick.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Sopranos, absolutely awesome. Went to Vegas last year.
Yeah.
Me, my brother-in-law, sister and wife. And we went to a Sopranos interactive show.
Really? Which
was absolutely fantastic.
What's an interactive show?
Well, they involve you in it. You can become a made man. They come in amongst the audience. And basically what happens, it's the last night before Tony Soprano is subpoenaed to go to court. So it's his last party at the Bada Bing Club.
Right. Just so that this guy that just called doesn't have to put his fingers in his ears again. This has nothing to do with the actual plot of the TV show, right?
There's a tenuous link running through it, but,
right.
The cast is really good. The guy that plays Tony Soprano.
So this is like a theatre production, which...
It is, yeah,
right.
yeah.
And occasionally your members of the audience will be dragged up on stage.
That's it.
My personal nightmare.
No, you'll be safe, don't worry. You can hide in the back. But as I say, you can become a made man and have a party, and it's the last night. And the cast is really good. Like Uncle June was superb. Although in the show he was just a brilliant actor anyway. He played Junior.
They're all. I mean, the thing that strikes me about The Sopranos more than anything else is all of those actors. They're all quite old, and they're all brilliant at it. You've never seen any of them in anything before. What have they been doing up until the point in which they star in this show?
Exactly. The people in the TV show, anything else, I just don't think they work in it. They look odd. Paulie and the others, they just look odd, but it just seemed to work absolutely brilliant.
Right.
Dr. Melfi, probably one of the most sexiest women around, isn't she?
She looked a bit puffy towards the end there, but...
she did, I'll give her that.
Now, Las Vegas, I haven't been there for... What year is it? 2008?
It is.
About... Am I going to say 30 years?
Really?
What?
What, was you 12 when you went there last time?
It's something like that. It's between 20... It's maybe 25 years, something like that. And it's changed dramatically since I was there.
Changes every month.
Yeah. Is it worth a go?
I love it. I really do. It's just to get away from all the crap that's over here, and it's just a mad town that's a bit of everything for everybody.
Right. Well, it was a mad town when I went, but it didn't have everything for everybody. It had gambling and hookers, and that was it.
Well, but I don't gamble, and I've not had a hooker just yet. But it really is my kind of town.
My kind of town. There you go. All right. Thanks very much, Mick. Cheers.
My pleasure.
0845 6060 973. I thought Chicago was his kind of town. I must have got that mixed up. What was I going to say? Were you going to say something? Oh, it must have been me then. Here is Beckenham. Hello, Jim.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Jim.
Hi, Joan from Wallington was talking about a film that you described as Trains in Space. The film she was talking about was Polar Express.
Polar Express. Yes.
You know, you saw all the snowflakes. And
no, I didn't see it. It looked like a children's film to me.
The advertising for it, the big poster.
Hey, I'll tell you what it looked like. It looked like the Christmas advert for Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it did a bit, yeah.
Which I look forward to every year. I think that's great, where the lorry comes out the fireplace. I love that.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. While I'm on, could I quickly just say something about gangster mafia films?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it strange that murderous, psychotic, misogynist, dealing in prostitution, drugs, they've been glamorized. A lot of people look on mafiosi, even their language has come into the language.
Hey.
And isn't it strange that such scum have been made into glamorous figures? And
yes.
People look on them as something
heroes
to attain to.
Yeah, absolutely right. It is a bit weird. Yes, you're right.
I just find it amazing. I'd much rather see films like Elliot Ness or people like that who defeat Steven Seagal, who take on these people and get rid of them.
Oh, steady on. Steven Seagal?
Yeah, he always takes on the mafia.
I suppose so, right.
And beats them. But I just find it weird that so many people, I suppose it panders to the aggression in people, and so they channel it through that.
Yeah.
And most people, it has no effect. They just enjoy it. But in a small minority, they tip over the edge and into that sort of fantasy world and violent world, and they can't control themselves.
Well, psychologists could lock horns about that issue all night long. Some will say that seeing violence on the screen will make you go out and commit it. Others will say that it has a cathartic release, and so that you feel as though it's out of you and you don't need to go and do it. And so who really knows about that? But it is interesting, as you say, that there's a certain type of criminal that is lionised on the screen, and others who never get, who always lose in the end. And the ones that are cast as heroes are bizarrely gangsters. You're right, who have no morals and no scruples, and they will remove anybody that's in the way of a profit, because basically it's just a business with menace. And the other type of criminal that usually gets cast in a heroic way is the sort of mastermind, safe-cracking, non-violent type. Everybody else always loses in the end, or at least they certainly used to.
David Niven and that other chap, the other bloke.
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, and the bloke in Ocean's 11, what's his name? The one who had the pig that died recently.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't even know it was sick. A pet pig, you say?
He had a Viennese pot-bellied pig.
I don't know, Brad Pitt.
No, he's famous. He done.
Oh no, he was going out with a Vietnamese pop. No, it was.
All the women go for him.
It was what?
All the women find him very attractive.
Oh yeah, George Clooney. George Clooney.
He's another sort of suave, debonair. But what were they doing? They were robbing a casino.
Yeah.
You know, they're committing a crime. Why are they made to be heroes? Maybe that's.
But they were doing it without a resort to violence, though, weren't they?
It doesn't matter.
Well, it does.
There's no violence involved. Does that mean a crime's not a crime?
Yes. And that's the official position of LBC. Thanks very much, Jim.
Good night.
Cheers. That is weird, isn't it? How come gangsters get such good press? They're awful. Unless any are listening right now, in which case I fully support everything you're doing.
I think it is mostly glamorised by Goodfellas. And
initially, of course, it was glamorised by The Godfather. I mean, I think that was that not the first... wasn't it the first book about the Italian mafia by Mario Puzo, something like that. Some putz.
Something like that. No, but if you watch The Godfather, they had the big house and everything. But when you watch Goodfellas, and especially the scene where Ray Liotta takes out, I don't know her name, so I'll just call her Dr. Melfi because that's her name in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
But when he takes her out for the first time. And she said, and they go in through the back door, they get the best table moved to them.
Yeah.
They get all the wine, and everyone respects him for that. And that's what I think glamorised it. For a modern day, that's what really glamorised it.
Right, because it's the essence of power that comes with willing to shoot people a lot. Yeah. And also, of course, the suits and the general respect in the community and the whole thing that went with it, all the sharp cufflinks and just the way that they present themselves was a very glamorous look. I mean, gangster chic. Yeah.
And the fact that people carried his mum's shopping home once. Out of respect.
Respect. Yeah, you don't give me enough respect. Here, by the way, you don't give me enough respect.
I think I give you too much respect.
Here is Mill Ill. Hello, David.
Hello, Nick.
David.
No, I wouldn't use Al Gore as your sole source of information about global warming.
No, well, I know. I'm aware of that.
Yeah, please, even in jest, don't try and promote it, because far too many people around the world are being taken in.
Well, however, Dave, now, see, I came to it as a sceptic. Because I had, of course, this movie's been out for ages now, and it didn't look like there was going to be any car chases or explosions, so I wasn't going to go and see it at the cinema. So I thought, I'll wait till it comes around on telly. Of course, this discussion has been going on without me for ages, and so I'm aware of what people are saying, and he's got the naysayers, and basically the entire industry of interested and concerned organisations want to want to dispute everything that he has in this film, because of course if everybody sees this film, believes it and acts upon it, then there's a lot of companies who are earning billions and billions of pounds that are going to be going out of business next week.
Oh, there'll be other ways of getting it.
Well, they will shift...
they'll be selling wind turbines and solar panels.
Well, no, they're not. They're backing out of wind turbines, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, today, that's the first bit of sense we've seen where their money has to be.
They will move heaven and earth in order not to have to change their business plan, which is to do not a lot and make a giant amount of money.
Well,
so I went into it sceptical. However, it was such a blizzard of information, and I thought, well, it can't all be wrong, and if only some of it is right, we're in big trouble.
Well, there's a little passage in the Bible somewhere, not that I believe it, but there's a lot of sense in there as well, which says that the devil can't get followers by telling lies. They have to hide it in the truth so much you don't notice, so you get their trust, and then they accept all the true bits because you can't argue with that, and then they slip them a lie in the same time.
He did, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
At some point during the film, he did say, well, you know what, even if you don't believe all of this, what are we actually doing? We're polluting, we're throwing too much away, and just those two things are bad enough to make you want to change our behaviour. And so even if you don't buy global warming, wouldn't it be nice to breathe fresher air in London?
We always wanted to, but one of the few things which is not really a pollutant is carbon dioxide. It's a natural, harmless, essential to plant life and human life. We didn't have it; we wouldn't be able to breathe.
Well, that's true, but in optimum,
well, they don't really know what the optimum is. It changes from not generation to generation, but every 1,000 years.
So are you a complete refusenik then?
Totally, because I've been studying it for 7 years and gone round all sorts of scientific websites and checked it from Al Gore's not a scientist. He's a politician. He's paid. He's a PR man. He's a front man. A British court found 17 untruths in his inconvenient truth.
Well, I tell you what, 17 out of the hundreds that he actually delivered ain't that bad.
I think that was just the major ones, and the hockey stick, which is his wonderful thing of showing the temperature shooting up in the last 10 years. In fact, if you even look at the Met Office site, global warming stopped in 1998 and hasn't got any warmer since. So we're really talking about something that isn't happening at the moment.
Well, yeah, and I'll come on to that in a second, because I think there might be a reason why it's not happening at the moment. And I think that's the phrase that's key here. David, I've got to go, but thanks very much.
Thanks.
It's 9:46. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. An update for you on the trains.
Okie dokie.
Yes, I did go into this film thinking, oh, shall I watch it? In much the same way as because that movie United 93, or Flight 93, or whatever it's called, about one of the planes on 9/11, I thought, oh, who wants to see that? I mean, I know how it ends. It's horrible. Why would anybody want to make a film about that in the first place? And second, why would anybody want to sit there and watch it? I started watching it this morning, and it didn't seem any better to me when one of the first, when at the beginning of a movie, all the relevant companies flash their little logo up, and it says Fox Television. I thought, oh, Struth, you're not selling this to me. Anyway, I dipped out of that. I thought the morning is probably not the right time to be, thinking about that. But the inconvenient truth, I went into thinking, oh, this is going to be a bit boring, a bit dry, it'll be tediosity, because it's just some bloke giving a lecture. But it was actually quite gripping. I thought he did a tremendous job. I mean, he looks like a bit of a bloated old fart, doesn't he? But he convinced me, and I went in as a sceptic. Have you seen An Inconvenient Truth?
No, I glossed over it.
You glossed over it? What does that mean?
I saw it on, turned it on, watched about 10 seconds as well.
Right.
No, that's not for me.
You're not interested in saving the planet?
No, not at all.
Well, I previously wasn't either, and I was, like that last fellow, a denier, a refusenik. Partly, I think, and if we take a good long look at ourselves, the people who don't believe, partly it's because we don't want to change the way we live our lives. And it's much easier to carry on regardless if you profess not to believe that we're actually in trouble. Because I don't want to give up my car, you know, I don't. I don't want to have to travel on the bus or the tube, ever. You know, sometimes you have to, because if you go into the centre of town, there's nowhere to park. So you've got to go by your tube. But if I can possibly avoid it, that means I've got to keep the car. I want to go on holiday. I want to travel by plane. I want to have a patio heater. I used it just the other day. It was fantastic. Trees were falling over all around me. Plants withering on the vine. You know, and I want to have apples that come from South Africa and all of that stuff. I don't want to change the way I live my life. I want a flat-screen TV as big as a tennis court. Yes, I do. But then everybody else is the same. We all want all that stuff. We want fridges that you can walk into, they're so huge, and we want central heating in the winter, and you know, all of that jazz. We don't want to give up any of it. And it's much easier not to give up any of it if we profess that we don't believe that in using it, we're actually hastening the demise of us all. Ain't that right, Rog?
Absolutely.
So, after having seen it, I thought, oh gosh, you know, he must have something here. Not all of those facts, or those points that he raised, can be false. Which is what I went in there, I guess, half hoping that I wasn't going to be convinced. Because then I would start to feel guilty, and I might actually, you know, consider changing my lifestyle. Fortunately, I don't care, so I'll just carry on as before. Like everybody else. You don't care either, do you, out there? You disgust me. No, I did. I thought, gosh, you know what? This bloke has actually got something. He might be the person that saves us, as scary as that might sound. Because if he keeps banging on about it, he will have to eventually either be silenced, which is what they're trying to do to him at the moment. The people with vested interests are pouring surveys and scientific data that give the opposite impression to that which he gave in his film, because it's in their interests. If the entire world saw that film, agreed with it, and changed their behaviour correspondingly, then all of those energy companies, they'd be screwed, wouldn't they? If we actually reduced our dependence on fossil fuels in all its type, well, the people who run the world would suddenly be out of pocket. And that's the last thing they want. They don't want to have to change the way they do business. They want to tell us that they're changing, which is why a lot of people were recently upset with the what they call greenwashing of companies. And I did have that, green claims. They want to tell us that they're making a difference, but not actually make a difference. It's like politics. If you tell people that you're doing something, you don't actually have to do it. They think you've done it if you've told them that you're going to do it. A record number of complaints have been made about businesses that severely exaggerate their environmental credentials, according to a report by the advertising watchdog. Airlines, oil companies and car makers have been censured for so-called greenwashing to take advantage of consumers' growing environmental concerns. Airlines, oil companies and car makers. In other words, the very people that have caused the problem in the first place. Well, no, that's not true. We've caused the problem. They are encouraging us to do it. They're facilitating us to cause the problem. Does that make sense? Because environmental issues, climate change in particular, are coming very strongly to the top of the political agenda, a lot of companies are thinking this is clearly a matter of public concern. Let's see if it will help us sell our products, they've said. What we're seeing are claims about being carbon neutral, zero carbon emissions, and use of words like sustainable, organic, 100% recycled, or greenest car in its class. A lot, and that's what they're calling it, a green wash. Take a product that is massively damaging to the environment, paint it green, and Bob's your uncle. People will want 10 of them. And that's pretty much exactly what they're doing. They're just pulling the wool over our eyes, but we're letting them do it because we want them to pull the wool over our eyes. We want to feel better about our choices without actually changing our behaviour. And that's the inconvenient truth that I think was the subject of his film. The inconvenient truth is, if we don't change our behaviour, we're screwed. Unfortunately, we won't. I know that to be true because we're human beings, and I've met us. We're awful.
I think you've just brought into the whole propaganda of it, haven't you?
How do you mean?
Because he told you what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And now you're telling us what he was talking about.
Correct. Oh, is it that time already?
It is.
Well, I've started something which maybe I should have started earlier on in the programme to give people their say. Here, Raj, what have we talked about tonight, then, eh?
We talked about the war.
Yeah.
Being had by speed cameras.
Right.
Airline luggage. Flying vouchers. Lambeth Way. Beefing away. Airport taxes, Terminal 5, Greyhound buses, other bad airports, Milan, Mugged Abroad, Camp America, Comfort Breaks, Hitching, Cars in America, Shabby Chic, Mork and Mindy, detective shows, internal flights, getting sucked out of planes,
Oh, no, you're fresh out of time. Here, ladies and gentlemen, you've got 2 minutes to go. Vote ZANU PF.
What?
Clive's next. LBC.
It's 10%.